All right, welcome back to the Show and Go, the weekly podcast. Me and the boss sit down talking all things footy, and it is brought to you by the good guys at YKTR. Fresh drop this Thursday, 6 p.m. What do we got coming, Skip?
Yeah, we got 3 hoodies, 3 crew necks coming. They sold out super quick last time, so they're going in roughly, one will go in 8 minutes, the other will go in 14 minutes. So make sure you don't miss out. 6 o'clock, be there, be quick. Even if you add it to cart, doesn't mean you're guaranteed a hoodie, so you got to move quick. So hopefully you guys get one.
Roll the intro.
Roll the intro. Haven't heard that for a while, eh?
Well, I've heard volley recently.
Oh, yeah, it was good. Hey, good time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Sweet, let's rip straight into it, bro. Obviously, there's plenty of big news going around in football at the moment, as there always is in the NRL, bro. You'd probably know that. But let's jump straight off the bat, man, talk about these Penrith Panthers, because although it seems like it was a long time ago, that Raiders game, I know it left an impression on both of us. They went out there. They're the only undefeated side now. Sorry, Lukey. The Panthers, but... Geez, they beat up on the Raiders, didn't they? Yeah, like when you look at the Raiders, they're like actually grown men, and we talked about this in our group chat. I was like, nah, the Panthers aren't going to rock up and bully the Raiders, but they did. Like you look at the Raiders, they got Papali, they got Josh Wyden, they got all the English boys as well. Like they're not a team that you can really just rock up and bully. And I know the Raiders got a big jump on it, but man, I can't see too many teams troubling the Panthers this year. You've got them almost undefeated, don't you? Undefeated, baby.
Undefeated?
Yeah. I've got them undefeated. And like I know Justin and I spoke about this last week, and he had a bit of a go at me going, bro, no one goes undefeated. There's injuries, there's origin, which I know you and I spoke about. My thing with the Panthers, man, is in a shortened season last year, they lost one game. Shortened by four games. They were playing that red hot at the end of the year. I'm telling you right now, if they played 4 more games, they win those 4 games. They dropped one game and had a draw, obviously, and then losing the grand final. I think they're better this year, man. I really do. Yeah,
it's just I think once you've actually played within there, it's such a long season, man. Once you get to round 12, 13, and you rock up to somewhere and it's pissing down with rain, you go back down to Canberra, it's -2 degrees, or you fly to New Zealand, like you're going to drop a game somewhere.
It's definitely a hot take. Like I get that it's a hot take, but like I don't think it's super outlandish just because of how good they're playing.
Yeah, if it happens, it's like, yeah, that probably makes sense. But you know what the thing I like about the Panthers is, and I got down here on my notes, it looks like they enjoy everything about being a football player, and it helps when you're winning. Like you've lost like 3 games in 2 years or something like that, and you're playing in grand finals. But it looks like they enjoy everything about it. It looks like they enjoy training. It looks like they enjoy rocking up to the games. They're playing 1-4. Jerome Luai is walking through playing 1-4. It looks like they enjoy the media as well. Like a lot of when we were coming up, we used to hate the media. We was like, oh, we have to go talk to the media now. They actually enjoy that. They've got characters in there. They've got Brian To'u. They've probably got one of the game's best players in Nathan Cleary. They've probably got the best complimentary player in Jerome Luai as well. They're just a really fun team to watch. They can play from behind, they can play from in front. You don't know where their point of attack is coming from as well. So you look at a lot of teams, say like Newcastle at the moment, or where Mitchell Pearce plays, you know the ball's going to go to Mitchell Pearce, or you know the ball's going to go to Ponga. With the Panthers, it can come off anyone. Like Liam Martin can run a line for you. Nathan Cleary can push up and score.
Isaiah Yeo as well through the middle.
Isaiah Yeo runs block shape off the back of him, very tight. Then you go down that left edge, you got Luai, you don't know what the fuck he's going to do.
He doesn't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, you got Kiko, you don't know what he's going to do. You got Crichton at the back as well. So they're such a diverse team, but they're not diverse in attack. They're good on defense. They love rushing up and putting on shots, led by Fisher Harris, and they can defend the lead. They can chase the lead. They don't mind the niggle. Like obviously that Tarpany situation was here and there for some people. You loved it. I don't necessarily enjoy it that much, but they enjoy that. They enjoy the niggly part of it because they're winning, but no one's really bullying them. No one's really standing up to them. And I thought Canberra were going to be the side, but it looks like they weren't.
Yeah, I did enjoy that Tarpany thing. Not like I didn't enjoy that it was Joseph Tarpany because he looks like the nicest guy in the world and everyone loves Joseph Tarpany, but I like that they just don't give a fuck. Like when you've got that sort of young, hot, sexy team that rolled to the grand final and they're dancing in pre-game and Jerome Luai celebrates every try like they've just won the GF. Like you can tell, I would assume as a veteran player or a senior side like Canberra, that would frustrate you.
Yeah.
And you'd want to go out and get after them. And when they're so talented that you just can't, I just love that shit. I love the confidence. I love the swagger. And to your point of before, when I said they were better this year and you touched on it, their attack is their attack. They're guns all over the park. They've played so much football together. They're going to score points. But their defense this year, particularly in the red zone, I know that obviously a lot of teams, that's their emphasis is red zone defense, but Penrith they do it so effortlessly. There's great communication out there. They're repelling points so easily that when they get down the other end and they're still fresh and got that confidence and obviously the talent to go out and score. So for me, the biggest takeaway, obviously, at the moment is how cool and the swagger and all that, but their defense is going to be a pillar of their year, man.
Ivan's a defensive coach. So
Well,
if he's got two players that are exactly the same and one could defend better than the other, he's going to always throw that defensive player in. And here's an example, like we talked about this the other day, his son, Jet Cleary. Most kids get, like, say $5 for a try, or back in my day it was $1 for a try. He gets money for saving tries. So Ivan's always been a defensive coach. He builds everything around his defense. He's a great attacking coach as well. I know he has great sort of support roles in him around him with Cam Serraldo, and he had Trent Barrett last year, and Peter Wallace is in there as well. So he understands the attacking side. He's come from the 2001 Warriors. So he's got a system in there. I won't give too. I think I've already given away back in the past. But once you offload, there's a sequence of plays that you have to follow off the back of that as well. So it looks like it's ad-lib, but it's not. It's something that they practice for and stuff as well. So yeah, Panthers are fucking scary, man. They're a really good side. They're young. Only thing that's going to stop them now is injuries and health, which is a part of the game. And we've seen so many injuries happen. And I think they could copper. I honestly think they could copper, like with Burden there, they could cop one. If they cop two, it's like, oh shit, it starts to get messy.
We'll move off the Panthers in a second. My argument when I did the old undefeated season, Crichton's not their starting fullback. Dylan Edwards is.
Yeah.
So they got cover at fullback. We've already seen Charlie Staines when he shifts back there in those little they put him in there for those little 10-minute periods at the end of games. He looks fucking lethal at fullback.
Even Uppy Curacau's out at the moment.
Curacau's out at the moment. So like you look at the key positions, obviously you go through the spine, the 6, 7, 9, 1. They do have, it's not a massive lot of depth, but they have depth in those key positions. So I think they can cop one or two injuries. I don't know if that necessarily means, obviously I don't think they're winning the comp without Nathan Cleary. I'm not saying that, but they are deeper than some of the other big sides at the moment.
Oh, way deeper. And obviously we talked about sort of that 5-year plan with Gus had, and they've had the best junior system forever. And now they're starting to really, really reap the rewards where their reserve players are picking up 500, 600K contracts because they're just that much better than everyone else. So, but it reminds me of, I watched this video. So we were going to, we were playing a Reggie's game one time, and it was a new game, and Garth Brennan was our coach, and he was sort of talking about the Panthers. Like, it's a club that's got rich history. So in 91 and 2003 when they won, they done this interview with Mark Geyer, and they played the Canberra Raiders in 1990. And he remembers running out onto the field, and actually they fucked up before because they went out on the piss on a Tuesday night. So all the boys come from Penrith into the city. Yeah. The boys got blind in the hotel room, and Gus Gould walked through the door, and he goes, "You've just lost yourself to the grand final." And they're like, nah, it's only Tuesday. We'll be sweet by Sunday. And he reckons when they rocked out on Sunday, grand final day, they looked across and they seen the big green machine. And he goes, they just look like grown men next to us. And they're big boys. They had John Cartwright, they had Mark Geyer, but they looked over and they go, fuck, these guys are huge. Like, obviously the uniform as well. Yeah. Boys probably jacked up on steroids with the Canberra milk. But next year, 91 come around, had a really good year. They rocked up, played the exact same team. And they looked across and they didn't look as big anymore. You know what I mean? They had that bit more confidence, bit more swagger about them, and they ended up getting them. So I think...
You get Penrith and Melbourne again?
Yeah, you know I love a storyline. I love a fucking story. Like I see that happening. And I know Souths are there. They've got the back line of doom, but I don't see their forwards matching up to Penrith's forwards, and I don't see their forwards matching up to Melbourne's forwards.
Agree.
Yeah, so like I love an early storyline, and if I was putting money on a grand final, it'd be them two. Obviously with all in good health, but I think Melbourne can still get him as well. Harry Grant's back, you know what I mean? They're the one side that could probably trouble them.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be taking Melbourne. You wouldn't want to be betting against anyone other than Melbourne.
But I reckon if they get to the grand final, they're not going to be like the same side that they were this time.
Agreed, yeah.
And that last grand final reminded me of 2001 grand final when Parramatta were the gun side. They rocked up and played an experienced Newcastle side, and Joey Johns just fucking put the sword to them early on. And then once they sort of figured it out, they made the comeback, and it really reminded me of that 01 grand final. But if you're looking at... the
2011 Warriors. What?
Yeah, 11. I'm going every 10 years. So sometimes I get a little bit starstruck by that. Even you can be as confident as you want. And do you know the cool thing about it? The long tail effect off the back of the Panthers going well. It's never been cooler to be from Western Sydney at the moment. Yeah. You've got 1-4 coming out there. You got Bam Bam and Tai Tuivasa and Tyson Pedro. They're doing really good things out there as well, and they represent their area, and that means something to them as well. They always say like,
I'm not even from here, and it looks cool.
Yeah. So there's this little subculture out there where historically it's never been really that cool to be from Western Sydney, but now it's a vibe, and they've got a sports team that's fucking representing and killing it, that represents the whole area. Yeah. You know, all across Australia, you know what I mean? So I think that's cool.
Let's transition off the Panthers. Obviously, the big news this week, well, in the last 48 hours, was all the John Morris stuff. We came into today expecting to talk about, will he go? He's gone today.
Has he walked out?
No, they've sacked him. They've brought in effective immediately Craig Fitzgibbon.
So Craig Fitzgibbon's walking in right now.
Josh Hannay is going to take over for the rest of this year,
Yeah.
the assistant, and Craig Fitzgibbon's on a 3-year deal, I believe, from 2022 onwards.
That
your immediate
sucks.
reaction, bro?
I got two parts. This is a 2-part question. One, that sort of sucks for Johnny Morris. He's done a really good job. He hasn't had the salary cap. I think most of the boys seem pretty happy with him. I wouldn't say all the boys are happy with him there, or the style of coaching, but predominantly a lot of them are. But it just sort of sucks the way it's handled. And this is can we just... Everyone just say, oh, this is a fucking business now. Yeah. Once players realise this, because clubs have known this for years, or administration have known this for years. This is a fucking flat-out business, and it's a ruthless business as well. So you kind of just got to look after your own. So I do feel for him in that sense. On the other side of it, I think Craig Fitzgibbon's going to be a really good coach. I talked to a lot of the boys in and around football, and everyone said, like, Fitzy's up next. And who he's teamed up with, Cameron Ciraldo, played football with Ciro and being coached by him as well.
People have massive raps.
People got massive raps on him. And someone was saying, like, he's like the highest paid assistant coach in the comp.
Uncle Tony Iro.
Yeah. And like and Gus didn't want to lose him, so he like got him up quick. So Gus has got to...
Can I ask you before? Sorry, but I don't mean to interrupt you. Can I ask you before I sort of give my take on it and you continue? The assistant coaches, Craig Fitzgibbon, Ciraldo, Trent Barrett, before he obviously got the Bulldogs gig. It seems to me that every football player and everyone in football circles always have massive raps on assistants.
Yeah,
and perhaps fans like myself and Lukey maybe don't understand that next step up. Like, how easy is it to be a good assistant and then...
Or how is he to be a number 2 here instead of a number 1? Like, if something fucks up, Jackson, you come to me. You know what I mean? When it's on me, I'm like, oh shit, where do I go? It's the same thing, and there's different types of pressure. You don't have to front media. You don't have to make all the decisions. I know when you're a head coach, you got your team in and around you, but when you're an assistant coach, you're kind of one of the boys. You're the link between your head coach and the players. So like, assistant coaches will go out and like they'll do like a little bit of video. They'll run 2 or 3 drills. They might have control of all the attack, but they never have to be the bad guy. They never have to be the like, oi, Jackson, what the fuck are you doing here? Some of them might, they try and do that, but that usually falls onto the head coach's role. So a lot of people sort of struggle with that transition from, and you've heard this so many times, like this assistant coach is going to be a gun head coach.
That's what I'm saying.
And and you know what? Sometimes they could be, but sometimes they take on the wrong opportunities. And I think Craig Fitzgibbon, he's turned down a few opportunities before, and he sees this as the right opportunity. He sees Sharks. They got a couple of nice pieces there. Maybe change their fullback around a little bit. They've got a full salary cap to play around with. Where you see someone like, say, Trent Barrett, he's taken on a rebuilding Manly and a rebuilding Bulldogs. Got so much time. And you get a couple years because you hear the whole rebuild thing and, we're rebuilding for 3 years from now. We get our full salary cap next year. Sometimes walking into the right situation or the wrong situation determines whether you're from assistant coach to a head coach and do that seamlessly as well. So I think Craig Fitzgibbon sees this as an opportunity to go, fuck, I can actually do something with this team. I've got my full salary cap. I've done my time. I've been under the Roosters system for that long. And this is going to show how good of a coach Trent Robinson is on the long tail as well, where you see Craig Fitzgibbon, how many people have gone from assistant coach to head coach underneath his system, and he lets them go and they go on to be really good coaches like Maguire, Brad Arthur's been there, Stephen Kearney to an extent. He probably is not as successful as the other two.
He's had a long career as a head coach.
He's had a long career as a head, exactly. So there's that other side of it as well. So that shows a really good club. And an old coach of mine said that you can tell a successful dominant team because those guys always end up in the media after. So you look at the Raiders, and then Ricky Stewart gets like the head coach, and then Mal Meninga gets head coach of Origin, and then Laurie Daly moves into TV. Now he's the Origin coach and stuff as well. And the teams that dominated the early 2000s and the 10s, they're all in media now. So that's the other side of coaching, where if you can coach really well, you get assistant coaches that get really good roles, and then all your players sort of roll into media. So it's a different way of looking at football, but I feel like it's a real interesting one. Yeah,
my immediate thing with John Morris, I'm kind of with you. It's a bit of a lukewarm response. Like, it sucks, but I get it. And I know that's a bit of a shit take because you're on both sides of it, but in reality, my thing with this is, so John Morris came into a, call it what it is, a disarray with the post-Flanagan Sharks. They were shot to bits. The cap was fucked. He inherited a side. He came in and for me, this was going to be the 1 year where he finally had control, and it's been taken away from him. So for that sucks for me. Like, he comes in, he's going to have Sean healthy at the back end of the year. He's finally going to have cap in this, and they're a competitive side. But from the club brass perspective, you don't want to be a competitive top 8 side. You want to be a top 4 contender.
Yeah.
And in reality this year, and it's the same every year, and we're going to transition into the sort of gap between talent later on, but there's 4 sides that we genuinely think can win this. And then you've got the chasing pack, which is your Paras, sorry Lukey, probably Mudders and the Drags, the Sharks and the Raiders.
A couple of Cinderellas in there. Yeah.
But in reality, you've got the big 4. You've got the Roosters, obviously not healthy, Bunnies, Storm and Penrith.
Yep.
Cronulla, the board, the club, the brass would have got there, sat there and gone, with John Morris, we're a very competitive top 8 side who, if we get hot and things go our way and the bounce the ball goes our way, we can fuck around and win a premiership. They believe with Craig Fitzgibbon in there, with cap room, with autonomy over his staff, obviously for Serraldo on that, they think they can win a comp. So I get the move. It sucks for me because I would have loved to have seen the guy, getting a little bit poetic here, but the guy who sort of navigated you through the shitstorm finally gets clear skies in 2022 and you fucking kick him off the boat. Like, I wanted to see him at least have a little run at it, but I get it. The club aren't sitting around wanting to finish 6th.
Timing is everything. And I think Craig Fitzgibbon was tossed up for that role a while ago, but they see Cam Serraldo is pretty much the best assistant coach there is at them. Him and Craig Fitzgibbon are pretty much the best. So they've got the 2-for-1 deal. You got 2 of the best up and coming coaches that are going to get through. And maybe they've seen John Morris's talent. Maybe we don't hear what's going on behind the scenes from actual players. That's the other side of it that we don't understand as well.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you again. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people, they chastise the media for paying John Morris out as under pressure. I'm telling you right now, for every Sean Johnson that came out in defence of John Morris, there's other players that will be leaking to their managers, to media, that they're unhappy with him. Like, there's no way that the club sack John Morris if 100% of the players are backing him. Like, that's just not the reality. And it sucks for John and it sucks for Cronulla.
Yeah.
But players by nature, it's a group of fucking individuals. It's a group of personalities. Not everyone's going to like.
Here's an example of when Corey was at Parramatta. Everyone thought Corey was the problem. So the administration's gone, we need to get rid of him. So they try to fuck him off to a few different clubs. He could have left halfway through the season when they were going shit, and he could have gone to a winning side straight away. But he goes, I want to ride this out. Like, this is my team. And they all thought he was the problem. They interviewed 10 of the top players in there, and they go, who do you want here? And all of them said that, we want Corey, we want Corey, we want Corey. Yeah. So, but that was getting played out in the media that he was the guy that, obviously he's on the biggest money. He got the number 6 on the back, so he deserves to share that thing. But when you saw the media and compared to what the boys were saying, it's 2 different stories.
That's what I'm saying. And so the stuff that emanates out of the club, we see Sean Johnson sitting on Matty Johns saying that John Morris deserves a crack and we back him 100%. That's not Sean speaks for Sean, and he'd be the first one to tell you that he's not speaking for everyone within that organisation. And personalities are personalities, man. When you get
Sean's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
He's never going to talk shit about. But when I had a beer with him one time, and I was like, how are you and Mooks? Like Steve Kearney goes, it was just one of those things that really worked out great for both of us. And I was like, are you sure? Yeah.
Talk some shit.
That's Shawnee, but he's a nice guy, man. And a lot of people will say,
off contract this year. Come on, Warriors.
Yeah.
Come home, boy.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it is a situation. You feel for him, you feel for his family, but he's going to pick up. It's just a merry-go-round, the coaching roles. And sometimes when you take on a role a little bit too early, but you think that's just going to be your opportunity, sometimes it fucks up your long tail. You see players do this all the time where they start to play good football and someone throws massive coin at them and they go to a
lesser situation.
Like Titans back in the day, Warriors back in the day. They lose all their value because they take the cash grab now, where you're better off doing a Jerome Hughes where he could have cashed in and gone to the Warriors, but he's going to stay at Melbourne, get not as much money, but his value is just going to go up and up and up. He's going to be playing in grand finals and rep teams off the back of it as well.
And when he wants to take that cash grab, it's going to be bigger.
And of course. Yeah. And you're going to have a better period. Like, you can talk to any players who had $1 million and things aren't going well. It doesn't matter if you get $1 million. It still sucks.
I'll take 600 and win comps.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of people go, I'd rather take the money. But man, you ask a lot of these guys who actually got that money.
Different breed as well, football players, man. Like Lukey and I would take the $1 million and play for Brisbane, but proper competitive football players who are there to win would take less money and go to Melbourne for the most part.
When everyone's bagging you from media to fucking...
Not worth it, bro.
No, it's not worth it. It's not worth the mental health stuff.
Speaking of future $1 million players, see that transition there? Let's talk a bit of Sammy Walker, baby. Obviously, we called it the 7 minutes in heaven. Going into that game period there, he took over, he demanded the ball. And a side without Kerry, with their hooker stocks obviously depleted, they still got Teddy and still got guns, but he took over, he demanded the ball. Amazing performance. He's had 2 pretty fucking good performances. Doesn't get any easier this week though against Melbourne.
There was this important. I always watch off the ball. So like I watch a lot of football, and like I don't always watch where the ball is. I always watch off it. So before Drew Hutchison scored, they done this little play out the back, and Drew Hutchison got it, and he tipped it onto Angus Crichton like super early. Like he didn't dig into the line, and Crichton got head high, and Drew Hutchison scored the next play. Jared Roy-Hargraves, like he was the best player on the ground that whole day.
I agree.
Rocked over to Drew Hutchison. He's like, I don't know what he said, but I'm just guessing. I played a little bit of football. Get the fuck into the line. That's not like I'm not going to say what he's going to say, but Jared's pretty ruthless. But because Drew kept playing back and back and back, and Crichton was trying to run the line off him. But then next play, boom, he just slides straight through. So that sort of sets up the momentum. But Sammy Walker, man, a lot of football, like talent's important, system's important, great coaching's important. He's got all that at Roosters, but a lot of it comes down the feel. And understanding like the game's on the line, you're 18 years old, man, you don't got a fucking care in the world. He wouldn't have felt any pressure whatsoever. Like a lot of the older guys who are like, oh shit, it's on me now. Like, oh no, I've got Teddy.
Got to complete.
Yeah, got to. But he don't give a fuck. He's just going, oh cool, I'm 18, I'm playing first grade, I'm probably getting mad cheese. I got fucking running off the back of Takiaho, Warrior Hargraves. I got best coach in the comp, the best fullback and the best player in the comp. I don't give a fuck. But his touches were beautiful. That try he scored, like he's not small, but he must be hard to get a hold of.
Very Kerry-esque, like in terms of like he's fast. He reacts really quickly. Like obviously, when you watch the game, you'd be able to see this better than me. But for me, he looks like he reacts really quickly to what's in front of him. Like he's not a slow processor, which some halves obviously they get into their sets and they know what they're kind of going to do, and then they react.
His last pass was an example of
exactly.
That.
He sees what's happening, holds. Think over the top.
And like you kind of get a feel when that long ball's on, because like you kind of like you have a look up and then you're like, oh shit, I'm on the 3-man, so that means like my back row is covered, my center's covered. You can kind of just get a feel for it, and he's got that feel where he just get a 2-pass from Tedesco and just goes fuck it.
You reckon Craig Bellamy will have some plans from this week?
Yeah, and this is like this is the test. This is the test. So he's rocked up, he's killed it, he's slaying it. Then you rock up.
You beat the Warriors and then Cronulla, right?
Cronulla.
Cronulla with obviously Wade Graham out and them going through their coaching dramas. Melbourne's a different beast. So,
and I'm just going to have a guess. I reckon the play that they're going to do is like a real tight block down the blind side with Nelson Asafa-Solomona. So they'll get who's the right side? Kafusi. Yeah. He'll run a real tight block and then he'll be out the back of it. So they'll go to this right post, kind of open it up, and you'll switch late and then give him a bit of attention. Wait, is he right or left?
Yeah. Sammy Walker's left. Kafusi,
That's the play they're going to run, and then everyone will try and cover him, and they'll jump it out the back anyway. So bit of jam.
Kafusi's going to be he's going to win.
And the thing with like trying to spot up players, sometimes it's a lot harder than you think it is, because you've got.
He showed. I don't mean to interrupt you. He showed in that Warriors game. He's game. Like if you send they were sending Murdoch Masilla, who's a fucking handful, at him all day. He's game. Like
but there's difference between like the Melbourne and Warriors sending traffic at you, because Warriors will go, oh yeah, sweet, oh yeah, Benny, let's get at him and try and run over him, but where he'll have to defend up against shape,
make decisions.
So like he might have fucking Nelson Asafa-Solomona and Kafusi in front of him like that, and then he's got Munster swinging it, and he's got Pappenhausen, so he's going to go, all right, so this is my inside shoulder, this is my outside shoulder. If they don't make it, I'm going to have to get on my fucking cart and go get Pappenhausen. So that's the difference.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I mean. Like people can spot up players all they want and go, oh, you just get at him. Those tackles are easy. Like you just get a body in front and you get help from the inside. But when you have to make decisions as well, plus put your body on the line, that's when it starts to get a little bit sticky, and Melbourne are the best at it.
You get caught on your heels or off balance. Yeah, exactly. Let's talk just quickly before we get to the origin stuff, which I know we want to talk about. The gap at the moment, it's kind of been a big topic in the game. The gap between the haves and have-nots, for lack of a better word, the sides that are killing it at the moment versus the teams that are really struggling. You played long enough to realise, for me, I think this has kind of always been the case. Like we said before, there's 4 sides that we think can win it. I don't know if it's ever been this big, but what do you make of the gap at the moment between those sides that are, Melbourne putting 50 on the Bulldogs, etc.?
Yeah, I think you just hit it now. Like every sport has 4 teams that are going to win it. Maybe that 1 or 2 Cinderella sessions that you love to see, but that's why they're called Cinderella stories, and that's why they make movies about these types of teams, is because they're not supposed to win. Yeah. And every competition has these types of people. But I feel like you need a couple teams to be good. Like we say this with basketball. Like you want the Knicks to be good, even though they're not. If they've got Brooklyn now, you want the bigger markets to be good. You want the Rabbitohs to be good. You want the Roosters to be good. You'd love for the Bulldogs to be really good again, because they bring the best. Well. Brisbane to be good. Parramatta to be good, Penrith to be good. Like you kind of want these types of teams to be good, because they bring crowds, they bring energy. But yeah, like I just think it's a little bit more obvious between the top and the bottom these days, where usually you'd have maybe one team or two teams that's going to get the spoon.
Yeah.
That's almost a toss-up this year as well. Like, who the fuck's going to get it?
Yeah.
Like, you look at the Bulldogs, but everyone else is like, oh, he could get it as well.
Cowboys could quite easily win it. I don't think it's as big a deal perhaps as people are making out. The thing which I think it probably highlights is we don't need an expansion team right now.
Nah.
I think the talent's stretched, not thin enough because it's obviously talent in the game, but I think with sides getting 50 put on them, 40 put on them, 30 put on them every week, I don't think you need to put another team up there who's probably going to get spanked as well for the first 5 years, you know?
Do you know what I think? Yeah, that they would get spanked for the first 5 years. Even if they sign Munster.
Doesn't matter.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, yeah. So the thing, like, they let so many players go to Super League way too early, in my opinion.
You said that last week. I agree, yeah.
Yeah, so that they see this, like, shiny young talent and, like, they'll flick. And, like, I love, don't get me wrong, I love getting the boys money. And, like, those young, talented, those Payne Haas, those David Fafita Juniors, they deserve to get fucking paid because they're elite talent and we want them in the game. But then there's always that, like, I remember when they went for the CBA last time and Clint Newton was the only guy fighting for the people in the middle. So minimum wage was getting raised up and all the Origin players were getting, like, topped up. They were getting higher Origin pays. Their salary cap was going up. But it was only really benefiting the top and the bottom.
And most of your players are here.
Yeah, and most of your players are in your 120 to 160. So what they need to look after is those guys in the middle that are fucking genuine first graders. They might be props. They might be like halfbacks. You got Gareth Widdop over there at the moment. You got Blake Austin over there at the moment. Jackson Hastings has done his apprenticeship over there. You look at a Blake Green who went over there, done his time, come back, become a very fucking solid first grader. So Jacob Miller, he's been killing it over there for a long, long time for Wakefield as well. So you got these types of players that are really, really good. They should be fucking over here. They've done their time over here. Yep. Get them back over here. But then the other side is that those guys between the 120 to 200K that sort of feel like a little bit disrespected. They're sitting around 120 games, 150 games, and all of a sudden this young kid from Keeper Park comes through and then he's getting 700K. And I think sometimes they feel like a little bit disrespected in that sense. So they'll go, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to go to England. And
those guys make up, 70% of the fucking playing roster anyway, isn't it?
And they're usually like your team players. They're usually the ones that do all the cleanup work and they take the tough hit ups.
Your bench back rowers.
And when it gets, when it gets fucking tough, they don't get scared. They don't run off. They don't go, oh, fuck it. Like I'm so used to this losing thing. So there's so many good players that we let go way too early because they're disrespected, because they're in the wrong part of the salary cap that no one ever talks about. Like minimum wage is going up. Great. Fucking the boys need to get paid. Superstars should get paid as well. But look after these guys in the middle that go to Super League way too early because it's weakening our comp. And if you look at Canberra, they were smart. They recruited all the English guys. They're like, no one wants to come to Canberra because it's cold and it's freezing. Oh, fuck, let's go get some of the best English players.
That's what I wanted my boys to do for a minute. I was like, you can't lure these Aussie boys over New Zealand. Go to England. Obviously, the Sam Tompkins experiment didn't really work out, but that was such a smart route for Ricky and that club to go, man. Just made so much sense.
And it's like there's more injuries coming along with the speed of this game as well. So we really need these guys coming back here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They're really good first graders, but they won't get the name in the paper. They won't get the highlights, but they're the types of players that fucking the superstars look at and go, fuck, you're my guy. And we need those guys in there.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page with that gap as well. It's always been there. So
yeah, it's always been. It's just whatever media shines light on, and we're the same. We're shining light on it right now, but that's what we see. Yeah,
I agree. Just lastly, then let's jump across to the Origin stuff because we spoke a little bit about it. I think it was off air. I actually think when we came in, when Kempy was in talking about the Origin stuff, the ARL came out yesterday and basically said, well, definitely for this year, they're not changing the eligibility rules, which kind of rules Taumalolo out. And I was wrong. So Tonga are not a tier 1 nation.
They're not.
They want to be. They've been petitioning for B for a long time, but they've got their problems with their union back home.
Fuck, all the island teams always have trouble with their unions. So,
but the thing with like Taumalolo is he's played for the Kiwis. So that's what rules him out. Someone like Daniel Tupou could still play for... Does Daniel Tupou play for Australia? Don't think so. Can still play Origin because he's only played for Tier 2 nation. But what do you make of that? I mean, we kind of spoke about it.
It feels yucky, eh?
It feels weird, yeah.
It feels yuck. I don't know. It's just like you think of like island nations as well. You just wouldn't want anyone to rock up and just play for Tonga, or anyone to rock up and play for Samoa. For Australians, this Origin thing is as important to them as culture is to us, as Islanders, as Kiwis, as Māoris, as anything along those lines. I know they don't have a deep history, so like you can look at Māori culture and goes all the way back, where Australian Origin only goes back to 1980, and we're like, oh, what, everyone should be able to play, and it is the pinnacle of our sport. But Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it should happen. Especially as a Kiwi, like the Tongan, like there's Tongans that come to Australia and sit up here. Like I feel like those guys should be sweet. But if you pick the Kiwi or the
Jerome Luai is a perfect example. He's a Samoan boy. He plays for Samoa, but
he's Western Sydney. He's a Western Sydney kid. Yeah.
He's a New South Wales. Like he would not look out of place in New South Wales jumper. Whereas Benji or Sean in a New South Wales jumper it'd be a bit weird. So I think
if you've done a haka, you shouldn't be able to do one.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I think if the biggest part, and we spoke about it, is just focus on growing the international game and let the international players play that. Let the Origin do their thing and let Origin keep growing. You raise an interesting point about the
percentage of Polynesian
players. I don't have an answer for what we do down the line, but I think it's a right call right now. Leave the eligibility is a hard word to say this early in the morning. Leave that as it is.
Agree.
Let the Origin boys play Origin. Let the Samoan and Tongan boys play Samoan and Tongan. Let the Kiwi boys do their thing. For the love of God, put up a fucking international window and let them play in that block, because that's the missing ingredient for me. And then spread the money out, man.
And that's an important part, because like the boys are watching Origin on a Wednesday night without nothing else to do.
They're not playing this weekend.
It's like watching the boys party when you can't party. You know what I mean? You got
and they're getting paid for it.
Yeah, and you're getting paid to fucking go out and have a good time, man. Like they see that and they're like, "Fuck, I want to be a part of that as well." But if you narrow this into a window where you got Tonga versus Samoa, man, and you ask a lot of the boys, the Tongan boys, like a lot of them play for New South Wales and Tonga. Like you go, "Wow, which one's more important to you?" I know which one they're going to say.
Yeah.
And like you just need to marry that up at the same time, and it allows people to get who's been injured at the start of the year to get over it, and clubs to have a bit of a break as well, when fans to sort of have a bit of a break.
It'd be interesting from a talent perspective, because like just now that I'm like thinking about it in my head, say the eligibility changed and like anyone could play. Adam Fanua.
I'd love to.
Junior Paulo, Tamalolo be straight in.
Junior's already played.
Oh, Junior's already playing. Yeah, Tamalolo be straight in. Like there'd be a few boys. Fisher Harris would definitely get a run. There'd be a lot of guys kick out. It'd change the whole landscape of the game. And I think the reason when we say it makes us feel a bit yuck is because it would change everything. It'd change the build up. It'd change, because you know when you get Gus Gould out there with the fucking panning camera talking about Origin, and they show all the old school footage, the cattle dog calls, and that like. That is the, like, maybe Australia doesn't have the super deep, rich culture like that, but Origin does. Origin has its own deep, rich culture, its own rich history. Just leave it. Yeah,
and everyone, like, it's a part of our game that casual people watch. Exactly. Like you can watch AFL, but you can watch you ask any of the All Blacks boys, who do you support? And they go Queensland. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone supports a team around that Origin time, because as a spectacle from the outside and looking in, it's fucking great to watch.
My wife watches it. She doesn't even watch footy, Everyone watches Origin.
And like, my old girlfriend, she's like, oh, I hate footy, but this was like really good to watch. And like, you can just feel it. Like the pressure's on. There's so much more people watching. The intensity goes up a lot more. But you looked at Queensland side last year, and like, you'd struggle to name off their starting 17 off the top of your head right now. Yeah. That one game 3. But that was fucking a spectacle. That was awesome to watch. And we talked about I think it's like 55% of Polynesians right now.
A bit more now.
Bit more. It's like the question that we were asking the other day, what happens when they get to 75% and 80%?
I think that's when this conversation opens back up again.
Yeah. Because the talent, like, was there be enough, like, of the white boys to just hold Origin on their own? But then a lot of the Island boys have come here straight away, or their families that come to Australia for.
The other thing that changes that is if you get Tonga and Samoa, that the unions do get their shit together and they do transition into a tier 1 nation, then you start to, like, the boys start having to make that choice, which becomes hard again. But right now,
stay in tier 2, Tonga, stay tier 2.
Stay tier 2, yes.
Like, that's
still beating Australia.
That's just a fucking pat on the back thing, eh? It's just like an ego thing. Like, we're a tier 1 nation now. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
stay tier 2.
Their point was, we're a tier 2 nation. We beat Australia. We should be tier 1. It's like, I get it straight on results, but there's other things that go into that.
You'd rather the boys afford the boys opportunities to do both. And
agreed.
Yeah, I just think of that.
Shall and go, baby. Let's drop some.
That was a good one. Right? That was a good one. All right, later.
Sweet as.